What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another Rent-A-Girlfriend manga review. We are on chapter 436, you know what I'm saying, dude? And this is probably one of the more hype chapters we've experienced in a little bit because this chapter is ultimately a CHIZURU chapter, right? I feel like we don't really get a lot of CHIZURU chapters, you know what I'm saying? We got Cherish CHIZURU while she's still here, you know what I'm saying, dude? So I guess we'll see what this chapter is about, man. But I'm pretty hyped because CHIZURU should be the main focus of this chapter, man. And we just haven't seen her in a little bit. So I'm pretty excited about this chapter. Anyway, this chapter starts off with us seeing Umi once again, right? Because in the last chapter ended off with, you know, a little surprise from Umi coming into wherever this venue is, right, where CHIZURU, I would assume, is like practicing or acting for something, obviously. Umi comes in, probably is about to ruin just every single thing ever imaginable right now, you know what I'm saying? Because Umi does not have any idea whatsoever how to take an L, apparently, buddy. Like, CHIZURU does not like you, my guy. Just give it up, bro. Go get with Ruka. Go get with any other girl in the series, buddy. CHIZURU is not yours, bro, Tato Chip. And then we get our cover art, and I would actually say this is a pretty good cover art right here, right? On the right side, you have CHIZURU, I would assume, you know, like normal CHIZURU, right? Like her real life personality, you know, outside of the acting thing, right? And I would assume on the left, I'm not sure, but I would assume on the left, that is like the acting CHIZURU, I think. I've never seen that girl in my lifetime in this manga, I think, but I'm going to assume that's CHIZURU in, you know, acting uniform and all the bullshit, right? So that's a pretty neat one. I like this one. I like this one. This one's pretty good. Anyway, Umi kind of just starts glazing CHIZURU, right? I guess he's trying to get some reaction out of CHIZURU. He starts talking about how she's a fabulous actor, you know, all the bullshit, you know what I'm saying, dude? And I mean, just look at Umi's face right here, man. You can tell that this dude is on some manipulation type mindset right here, bro. Like, dudes don't just be smiling like that in the top left. Do you see that, man? Like that's not a real thing right there, man. Umi is definitely freaking me out at least, man, because it seems like he's gonna just like come into the story and just absolutely just ruin everything going on for CHIZURU and Kazuya. But then out of nowhere, Umi gets like super serious all of a sudden. He says, "Hold up, wait a minute, CHIZURU. I need to talk to you about something." But then out of nowhere again, I think the director girl in this room right here in the back is like, "CHIZURU, I need you, bro, Tato Chip." So CHIZURU leaves Umi per usual, obviously on some Rent-A-Girlfriend shit, delay the inevitable, delay as long as possible, obviously. Per typical Rent-A-Girlfriend, dude, pacing horrendous, you know what I'm saying, man? But anyway, we don't get the conversation because CHIZURU ends up leaving the whole fucking scene and going to the director girl, I would assume. And then Umi kind of just like gets depressed, I guess, man. The smile drops and he's just like, "All right, bro, fuck you, CHIZURU, I guess." And he just leaves ultimately, right? So we then see CHIZURU talking to the director lady, right, about some bullshit probably. And then I guess she gets out of that conversation, goes back into this hallway, right? And then Umi's, of course, is not there. And CHIZURU's like, "Oh, well, Umi's gone, I guess, even though you want to talk about something." Probably better because Umi fucking sucks ass, as per usual. And then CHIZURU mentions how it's still kind of awkward between her and Umi, which makes sense because Umi's a loser, right? But I mean, we then move past that to where the director lady, she's talking and she's like, "Oh, you want to go get dinner, you know, after this or whatever, right?" And then we get our date here, or not our time period, right? It's like dinner time and it's the day before, I would assume, the play, which is, I think, what they're talking about on the bottom here. So I guess they're supposed to kind of just like chillax a little bit, you know, not do too much before the play, which makes sense, you know. So ultimately, director lady and CHIZURU kind of just like go on a walk and they start chilling a little bit. Anyway, the director lady keeps on talking to CHIZURU, and she kind of starts glazing her a little bit, right? She talks about how CHIZURU only has a minor role in this upcoming play, but she believes that, you know, CHIZURU is going to get popular. She's going to get the big role soon enough, which I guess makes CHIZURU think of Kazuya, I guess. I don't really know how that correlates. Maybe it's like a motivational thing. I don't know. But CHIZURU starts thinking of Kazuya. And then CHIZURU asks this question that is on the next page. So, yeah, that's great, I guess. But, I mean, yeah. pretty much just a normal conversation going on between Chizuru and this director lady. And then the question is revealed to us, and the question is, if I got a boyfriend, what would you think of, what's happening with that? You know what I'm saying? That's what Chizuru is asking the director lady, right? And of course, this is like a one-panel thing, so there's not much to talk about, but it is interesting that Chizuru is thinking about this, this boyfriend thing, obviously, right? Like, Chizuru, I don't think we've ever really seen her kind of talk about maybe like getting a boyfriend before. I mean, she's talking about dating and stuff, but maybe not like actively going out there and, getting a boyfriend. And it really makes me wonder if Chizuru is going to take a step up. You know what I'm saying, dude? I've been saying for a lot of the time recently that Kazuya has been putting in a lot of work in this relationship and Chizuru has done nothing, right? I want to see Chizuru confess at this date, and I want to see her ask Kazuya to be her boyfriend. That's what fuck I want to see, man. And then I guess the director lady just starts like freaking out about it. And she says that, Chizuru really never talks about this stuff, right? So that makes sense. That makes sense why she's freaking out, I guess. And I mean, it's kind of like a two-foil thing here. It's like this director lady is, she's like a little bit different from Chizuru, right? She says that, when she was younger, she used to talk about, the boy she performed with like all the time and all the bullshit like that, right? So it's kind of interesting to see two perspectives there where it's like Chizuru is like, more, I guess I want to say like more insecure about it, but this director lady seems to know a little bit about, all this stuff. So I guess maybe she's like a good advice person for Chizuru. And I mean, the director lady, whose name is, I think it's Omata, I'm pretty sure. She's like climbing up my character rankings right now, man. She seems pretty chill, dude. She's talking about how she's kind of, let Chizuru do her own thing, but, still kind of involved. That's like the best part, you know what I'm saying, dude? Because like, you gotta let people do your own thing, but you can still be kind of involved a little bit, right? So, she's talking about like, oh, I see you have a big career ahead of you, all the bullshit. And I mean, she mentions about Chizuru and this other project, and then Chizuru starts talking about how she's like gonna cancel this other project apparently, man. So something's obviously going on in her life, obviously. But really, Omata seems to be a really interesting character. I really like her, to be honest, man. She seems like a good, like role model for Chizuru almost, right? Even though they don't really have, similar careers anymore, right? Like they're both not actors, right? I think Omata is like a director of the play, I think, but she seems to be really chill with Chizuru. And I think it's good that Chizuru has someone that's not like absolutely just like cooking her entire life all the time, you know what I'm saying, dude? So I think Omata is a really great addition, man. I really like Omata, to be honest. And then we cut a little bit later in the day to where Chizuru was chillaxing in her bathtub, I would assume, and she starts thinking about the situation or the conversation she just had with Omata, right? She's saying, I really can't believe that I asked her if I got a boyfriend, like what would you think, all the bullshit, right? And she gets out of the bathtub, simple stuff going on here, man. But it's interesting to see that these Chizuru chapters, you're really getting a good look at who Chizuru is and how her brain works, right? I feel like a lot of time when we're in a girlfriend, we get Kazuya, we get to see how his brain works, but not really Chizuru, right? It's like we're forgetting one half of the entire, main protagonist thing kind of going on, right? Chizuru is, I mean, she's interesting. She's interesting to say the least, man. I really like that we're getting to see more Chizuru and how her brain operates. Anyway, I guess Chizuru gets out of the bathtub and she goes to look at this picture of her grandma, right? And maybe it's for some like motivation thing. I don't know, man. But it seems like Chizuru is in good spirits and she seems to be pretty hyped for the date, obviously, which is good, right? Because Kazuya's working, Chizuru's working, right? They're going to come together on July 11th and hopefully they're going to get together and then the series is going to end and it's going to be beautiful. Hopefully that's what's happened, even though we know that's not going to happen whatsoever. And then I guess Chizuru starts to, to go to bed a little bit. But we see here in these text bubbles that Chizuru, if we get a little more in depth on how her brain operates, right? We see Chizuru and her maybe a little bit of anxiety and stress happening right here, dude. She's kind of thinking back on maybe some certain situations and how she could have maybe played them differently. But I mean, it really looks like something is affecting Chizuru right here, man. I mean, I don't know. I have no fucking idea, man. I just hope it all goes fucking well for Chizuru and Kazuya, you know what I'm saying, man? That's all I really want to see at this point in time, so whatever. But then Chizuru starts thinking, I think, about her parents, and then she starts thinking about Kazuya, you know what I'm saying, man? And I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about this, man. I think Chizuru should actually be more focused on the play, I would say, tomorrow. That's going to happen, right? Like, I think she's more focused on that right now instead of the Kazuya, the parents, and all the bullshit that she's thinking about right now, man. But, I mean, whatever, man. Hopefully we don't get a thing where it's like she fucks up the play or something because she's thinking about Kazuya or she sees Kazuya in the audience or whatever. Hopefully that does not happen. And then Chizuru says, I see in 2 weeks I might have a boyfriend, right? Which we obviously know what that means. But to me, it is a little bit lackluster almost, right? Because it's like, I do want to see Chizuru say that, like, she wants to be with Kazuya, you know what I'm saying? Because Kazuya has made it so clear that he likes Chizuru, right? I want to see Chizuru take action and say something for once. And I mean, this kind of just like backtracks a little bit on it, right? I might have a boyfriend. That kind of makes me stress a little bit, man, because it's like, are you going to say anything on the date or what? But then Chizuru obviously starts going to bed and then she starts blushing, right? So, you know, typical rom-com stuff happening, man. But I mean, not much to say here, right? I'm still kind of interested to see what happens in this play, which I would assume is in a couple of chapters, I would assume. So hopefully that goes well for Chizuru, you know, goes well for all the parties involved. Still worried about Umi, obviously. Umi's just being a bitch as per usual. Anyway, we get to see the end of Chizuru as she says, I sound so stupid saying it out loud, but I mean, it is scientifically proven that if you say stuff out loud or, you know, you write something down, there is a percentage chance that you make it happen more, right? So that's kind of cool, obviously, right there. But then we cut to Kazuya, who is apparently taking the driving test now, I think. I'm pretty sure he's taking the driving test, which is super duper cool. Anyway, this chapter of Rent a Girlfriend ends off with Kazuya apparently being locked in. He's like he gets out of the car and he's like, all right, let's fucking do this shit. You know what I'm saying, dude? He says, all right. He's even got the drive merch on, you know what I'm saying? Special drive merch on because he knows in his head that he's about to absolutely crush the driving test. You know what I'm saying, dude? So this is how this chapter ends off, man. But I mean, hopefully Kazuya gets his fucking license. Anyway, this chapter of Rent a Girlfriend gets an 8 out of 10 on my Rent a Girlfriend scale. I really enjoyed this chapter, man. I do tend to like the Chizuru focused chapters, I think, a little bit more. But I mean, it was really cool to see, you know, where Chizuru's at in her life and how she thinks about the entire situation happening right now. But I also did like the ending to this chapter, right? Kazuya getting the license is a perfect setup to the date on July 11th, right? Maybe bro can pick up Chizuru and he can drive like 50 fucking million miles an hour down the highway, you know what I'm saying, dude? Just absolutely having the time of their lives. Maybe that's what's gonna happen. Probably not, because we know the author, obviously, but I mean, it would be pretty cool if that did happen, man. But I would assume next chapter is Kazuya doing the license, you know, the driving license test, right? Will he get his license? Will he not? I think he will, man. But there is a thing in the back of my head that says mommy is going to get involved somehow in this next chapter. Don't know how, but I just want to make that very clear that mommy might get involved. But anyway, that's really all I have to say about this chapter, man. It was a pretty good chapter. I'll see all of you next week for another chapter of Rent a Girlfriend. Take care, boys.